for joining us on Matters Arising today. Usually on Fridays, our Matters Arising session comes very much earlier than other days, usually 12 noon. Hello, guys.
Yep.
Thank you for being in the studio, Kingsley.
Thank you for having me.
Philip, thank God it's Friday.
Of course.
Yeah.
Is he your friendly friend?
Well, I don't know what the man is always intention is.
I just asked a question.
He's looking for a friendly
All I know
friend.
that if he applies for no, will not approve
Exactly.
it. Hello, guys. So back to business. A certain chairman of a party, Falalu Bello, chairman of a People's Redemption Party, is calling on Nigerians, calling on National Assembly not to approve any further loan request from Asiwaju. Unlike what should come from a very much largely an unknown party. You know, it's everybody trying to throw their relevance into the system by using Asiwaju as a joker, or this is a sincere call for probity and kind of transparency which they cited was lacking in the loan administration of under Asiwaju's government. I'm not too sure it has been better before anyway, but let's talk about the issues at hand. Do you think this is a sincere call, Philip?
Yes, because the People Redemption Party, PRP, is an opposition party.
Yeah.
And one of the role of opposition party is to speak against the ease of the party in power, which Asiwaju Bola Tinubu led presently.
Yeah.
The APC is in power, the PRP's opposition is not in power. One of their primary duty to speak when they fed the party in power is not doing the right thing. And in this case, he is saying that, look, the National Assembly and the entire nation should resist further borrowing, because the money we borrowed in the name of the people, the government borrowed in the name of the people, they are not reflective in any way. So therefore, they shouldn't borrow anymore, because further borrowing means we are mortgaging our future and the future of our born children. I think it's a very sincere call, and whichever you want to look at it, and it's a call that is in line with the thinking of the common man in the street.
All right, Kingsley, let me, before you go into the sincerity or the need to not approve any loan request anymore, Jonathan, our loan before Obasanjo, Nigeria was in quagmire. Obasanjo took the lead, you know, was traveling, was hopping on the plane, moving about, campaigned for debt cancellation, and he was very, very successful. We started almost on a fresh note, you know. And as at the time PDP was leaving power under Jonathan, I think we were having about 12 trillion thereabout on debt, you know. This has risen more than 1,000 times, 1,000% across APC's government. It has even increased. Debt servicing ratio has increased with over 68% under Asiwaju. Mind you, under Jonathan, they were selling fuel at 80 naira thereabout, 85 naira thereabout, and they were paying subsidy. Now, let's double cross Buhari, because Buhari was neither here nor there, paying some subsidy, denying at some point, not denying, you know, but there was an element of subsidy. Asiwaju came on board, the one removed subsidy. We had expected loan to crash. Now that people are paying through their nose, the people are suffering it, there's no doubt. From day one, they felt it. We had expected issues of loan to go down. For any reason that the loan was to go up, there should be a commensurate development, which this PRP chairman is saying we can't see it. No further loan request should be approved.
Well, do you know what they call sincerity of purpose? That's what we...
Tell me.
Okay, I'm telling you. Sincerity of purpose. That's what every government should embark on and engage in. Now, we've said it time and time again. If there's need for borrowing, you can borrow. But there's no need for borrowing. Why are you borrowing? Now, during this week, we heard Otis said that I don't have any need for borrowing at this point.
And if I do, I will
explore that option.
Yeah.
Now, what is the need for borrowing? The need for borrowing is to look at projects that will elevate the country and put us on a very good economical platform that will help the economy grow. So that as the money is coming from the economy, right? Then our government revenues will surge so that they can be paying back those loans. It's actually for development. But the ones that have been borrowed, we have not seen it. We have not seen it commensurate with the development that the federal government is having. So that's why he said, don't allow this reckless borrowing from this particular government. But as you know, it's just a man talk, another one do. We're not the one to say he has his assembly there. Anything they take to the assembly, everything must always pass. So they are going to hit it.
But Babio said they are not rubber stamp as against people's. Babio. He said they are not rubber stamp.
The Senate President.
Yes.
They are not rubber stamp.
Yes.
Okay, I comment. I will reserve my comment.
All right. Now, most of the borrowings of this government, they are using it to finance deficit in budget. Do you think we have bloated, over bloated budget? And meanwhile, people can't even see. If you have big budget, fine. Big budget should mean big work. Big development. If really those projects are projects that are targeted towards the people's living standard. But people are saying 2 years gone. We can't find it. Almost all the opposition are singing the same song. We'll get to that. I think we mentioned something like that. They describe him as you are an angry loser. That is why. But this man is not an angry loser. Bello Falalu is not an angry loser per se. He said, he was very categorical. There is no transparency. The other day, in one of our sections, Peter, one of our discussants here, said if you dig a hole and cover a hole, you have not made any progress. And I said that is true. But I say in certain cases, you can dig a hole to cover a hole. As well as you paid certain debts and also took some. You understand? And there are cases where you can dig a hole and cover a hole. If the new hole, the conditions of the new hole is better. Maybe you have a new loan of 2% interest and an old loan of 5% interest. I can borrow this one and pay back that one while I deal with this. Now, this man queried issue of transparency. Do you think Asiwaju should be more transparent? Let the people see the figures, see the conditions of these loans. Nigerians are not idiots. Maybe, who knows, maybe they will support your further borrowing.
You see, in your question, you said so many things. As a businessman, will you borrow money to organize a party?
Certainly not.
So why would Nigerian government borrow money for over bloated budget that is not necessary in the first place? So the question is, why will the government go borrow money when they don't have any project in mind they want to put the money into that will yield the profit that will enable them to pay back the loan? You see, that's why the PRP chairman is saying that. In so doing, you are mortgaging the future of Nigerians and Nigeria. So don't embark on it. And he has called on the National Assembly. Enough is enough. Like you rightly said, what is government? Government is expected to be transparent. Wherein the government is not transparent, it should be held accountable. Tinubu should try and be transparent. If you are borrowing a loan, you should be able to let Nigerians know what are the terms of the loan, what percentage does the loan attract, what do you intend to achieve with the loan, and what is the duration of paying back of this loan. All this should be made bare before the public. It's not enough for you to sit with your cabinet or your kitchen cabinet and say we need this money because we want to do XYZ. Not know to the people. You come out to say that okay, you are constructing the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, the Sokoto whatever road, and is it achievable within the period? If it's not achievable, what happened to the loan? It will be on the head of Nigeria because Nigerian project, once you do not achieve it and you leave office, that project
is future project,
and it will be abandoned, and
yes.
The loan remains where it is.
And the future generations.
Exactly. So that is why the PRP man is saying that, look, enough is enough. We had enough loan on our head already. We shouldn't go further borrowing. National Assembly, please stop every further request that require to borrow. Rather, we should look inward. He may not have said it, but that is what he's saying. We should look inward. When Obi was campaigning, he said Nigerians should look away from consumption to production. No businessman, no man, no woman make progress without being productive. Nigeria is not productive. The government is not directing us towards the direction of production. I think what Tinubu should be doing at this time is to redirect Nigeria to be productive in all our, chef, in our agriculture, in our economy, in our educational sector, in our health sector. Every area should be productive. Once we are productive, we'll be self-sustainers, and there will be no need for this borrowing. I think I agree with the PRP chairman saying that we should stop further requests of President Ahmed Tinubu from borrowing further loans.
All right, talking about production, which he talked about, I remember advising the two boys the other day. I said the world is divided largely into producers and consumers. He said the video game you are playing is fine for fun. Somebody produced it. That those who produce don't complain how life is unfair to them, but those who consume complain how life is unfair to them, how the other man was lucky. That was why he was successful. That but when you produce, you have no avenue for complaint. Now, is there any way regulators, maybe National Assembly, even though they keep failing in their function of appropriation and being checks and balance, to the executive, is there any way they can streamline our borrowing so that we'll begin to have a more specific borrowing? What do I mean by more specific borrowing? Something that looks like PPP arrangement, for example, that a certain loan will be for a specific project. There will not be general after budget. There'll be a general deficit. Some of those budgets, by feeding people in the National Assembly is involved, feeding people in presidency involved,
carrying people to pilgrimage,
traveling to pilgrimage is involved in general budget. Then a deficit will also be generally funded by loan. Is there any way we can say no? Henceforth, let issues of loan crossing certain amount, or let there be a threshold or whatever, be specific to a project, because like he said in business, you have to only successfully use loan to acquire assets or something that generates fund, so that process, that project, whatever program you invested it on over time, over the years, should be able to pay back the loan itself and also the interest. Is there any way National Assembly can come in that regard? It's their duty to regulate the executive.
Well, because the major question you're talking about now is that of the National Assembly. Be a regulatory agency or
because they have to approve. If they don't approve the loan,
being a check and balance. But from what we have known from this particular 9th Assembly, 10th Assembly, they've not matched up to that, and that's what the president wanted, and that's why most of them came into power as the position that they have right now. Exactly. For now, what they are is like they are a rubber stamp
to stand on the mandate
of the president. Yes. We saw the other day when they were adopting the president as the only candidate for APC, and we heard all the things that Senator Akpabio said. They are not things that helps democracy. They are not things that shows that the legislature and the judiciary are not at loggerhead, but at people that check themselves. For this particular question you have, we don't have that judiciary to, that legislature to help us look at the check the power of the president. It's just a rubber stamp.
All right. We are just almost halfway. Today is 30th.
We weren't halfway. We're done.
Precisely halfway yesterday. That is remarkable. Now, the 2 years is becoming smaller by the day. Though they started campaigning and all that.
They started campaigning like a year ago.
Like which shouldn't be. That a year ago, that reminds me. Do you know, let's take a year ago, there was this poll that was conducted, research, a kind of survey that was conducted by African Polling, is it Institute, yes, so African Polling Institute, yes. They were API. They were saying that about 84% of Nigerians, as at that time, were dissatisfied by the indices coming out of Asiwaju's government. I don't know if we have improved on that. Let me see if I can get access to some of their details. Then things like so in terms of job performance, the survey revealed that 78% of the citizens expressed that Asiwaju has performed abysmally, with 49 rating him very poor and 29 rating him poor. And I think about close to a 4,000 sample size was used in that survey. Why that is a small sample size, but if you look at their distribution, it was well distributed across different demography. Do you think it's time for us to call on API, African Polling Institute, to conduct a fresh one? Let's see if there is a movement from where they were before to where we are today. Because Asiwaju came up telling us that there is improvement. We, the ordinary persons, we are really here to feel it in our skin. When he removed the subsidy, we saw it immediately. And when he removed subsidy, the next day I went to filling station to buy a fuel, and the prices has gone up. So now he says we are reaping the dividend. We wanted to see it, but we are yet to. Do you think this polling is required at this time, just to checkmate what the
Not only
government
when
is
you
doing
remove subsidy that we feel it, we also feel it when the naira was floated.
Floated, certainly.
So it's all over the places. I think API had not done enough for us, because if you deem it necessary to conduct a poll after 1 year in office, it's also important that mid-term report should be given to us by now. I think we are going to.
But it's still not late.
Yes, I'm using this avenue to call upon them to give us the present assessment.
Probably with wider.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, because 4,000 is too small.
The ratio is too small.
To judge,
more than 200 million.
To say
no matter how accurate your
sampling
might
be.
You know.
But having said that, the question is, has there been improvement from the report they presented to us a year ago? The answer is no. Because it's even worse by my own assessment. Because the cost of living, it has become so high. The inflation and all of that. Forget what the government is claiming on paper. How do the people feel? We're in Abuja here. People who had worked with government, who had done their job, who got contract and executed, they have not been paid for months.
Yes.
People had.
Yes.
Exactly. They have submitted their invoices and all of that. They kept promising them. People have died. Contractors have died. Loans are piling up.
No. They are not paid for years.
Where is the improvement?
And look at where the corruption comes in. I think it should actually be first in, first out for all government agencies, parastatal or whatever ministry. But you see those who have done their job years upon years, you won't pay them. Then you will have a few persons. You know, maybe you're just giving them just maybe they are you are as a newly appointed person and you are paying that. Shouldn't it be a grant for corruption charges to be brought, you know, against such a accounting officer of the agency?
That's why I said, you know, the API need to conduct their survey as per. Now, you know, I've also said that, look, from what we have seen, there's no improvement. Rather, it had gone worse. Like what we are adding to it.
Yes.
People did their job, submitted their invoice years ago.
Because these are also private people that this is how money actually goes down to the
these
society.
People, some of them took loans.
Yes.
And interest is piling up. And there's no way for them to pay. Some people use their property as collateral and they have lost their houses, their cars. Some even lost their life. Where is the improvement you're talking about? And here you have a government appointee who came in 2 years ago. A job was awarded before he came in. The job was executed. Invoice was submitted. He came in 2 years ago. He awarded a job after he came into office. Even though the job is half executed, he has paid for that
new one.
But the one that has been executed and is enjoying industry, he kept blind
about the continuity. So, meanwhile, the building and the office he's using was the same old office, and he didn't pack into a new one. He didn't build a new office. He didn't hire new staff.
So where is the improvement? Where is the improvement? I don't know, see where the improvement is. You see, you can fool people all the time, but you cannot fool people always. Because the thing is so sad that government will come up with white paper report and all of them. They set up committee within themselves and they will come up with a report to show that we have achieved it, we achieved that. Meanwhile, on ground, we don't see anything.
Okay, Atiku, like the PRP chairman, Bello, you know, recently has been raising his voice on, even on this loan in particular, that Tinubu has been reckless with loan and shouldn't go further, and some other things. But Onanuga took a swipe at Atiku that he's still bitter, you know, from losing the election and all that, you know, that his criticisms were unfair and they are largely political. Do you think Atiku's criticisms is largely political?
No, just like we said, the PRP chieftain is political. Bello is political. As we can see, You see, we always wanted Atiku to do what he's doing now
Yeah.
in other past government.
Yeah, but he has not.
But he never
Unfortunately,
did
he
it.
didn't. And
We
don't know why he didn't.
For whatever reason,
Yeah.
we didn't see him during the 8 years of
we didn't see him after
Buhari,
Buhari,
you know, and all that. So we don't know
We
why.
saw him in between when he came to contest in 2019 and went
That
back.
one is different
And
now.
went back to Dubai.
That was election time.
Election time, yeah.
But this particular one, and said that he's been reckless with spending. It's not what just only Atiku is saying. It's what all of us can see.
Yeah.
And to a large extent, we've not seen this government responsible to the people in such a way that when they call for something, they ask for something or they come against something, it's not a listening to the government. This government is not a listening government. It's a government that is, you know, from the aid, political media aid that he has. You know, we have a structure. We have the Ministry of Information, Ministry of Information. That one is there. It controls all government media arms. That's one. But we also still have a lot of media aids, about 5 to 6 of them. I mean, top notch. Someone like Onanuga used to be someone that criticizes government back to back.
Yes.
All of a sudden, if anybody talk right
Precisely,
now, he clamps them down. He comes on them heavily. Either it's a news media or it's a political figure, either they use Boala or they use himself or they use every other political aid that they have. I don't think Atiku is being
political in this case.
He's being bitter about anything in this matter. There's election.
He could be speaking for many Nigerians.
Well, definitely yes. Yeah, and that's the position some of us think Atiku should stay at this particular junction. No, he should stay in that elder statesman position. People like Edwin Clark, they never became president.
You don't have to be president.
Their words were powerful.
He was still speaking till the day he left.
Do you understand? Obasanjo right now, he's not he doesn't belong to any political party. But he speaks on national issue. Atiku should stay there and speak. And for what he has said now, it's very true. They should show us.
And if Atiku was not being seen as wanting to contest,
Yeah.
probably they would have seen his statements to be less political.
Exactly. You see, what we see, you can't point a project to us. Like I told you, I just saw on the news that Minister for Aviation, Festus Keyamo, said that the old international airport is going to give way. Whether it's the old international airport, the old local airport in Lagos is going to give way for a more befitting this thing. But that's just paper talk, or that's just a media talk. We need to see.
We still have a publication where Buhari government promised us that they will start manufacturing aircraft.
Exactly. That one will leave him to his God. Like that guy now, he said, we'll leave you to your God.
But I've left those people to their God.
He said, Baba, Mr.
They
President.
brought the $10 and they painted it and wrote Nigerians away.
I mean, those are all things.
Just like you said, like that
Yes, I said, Baba, Mr. President,
we left
we'll leave you to your God. So what we are looking at, they should tell us what they have done between a particular place to the other, how they have connected the country together through rail, because what's the proportion of people that takes plane, or you move goods and services
through rail?
How many do you move? The cargo that we have in Nigeria, most especially, are the one that comes from abroad. So you move goods, you move man, do you understand, and all that. And most of these things are through road and through rail. So which one have you developed?
You see, I think this government is not too bothered about what people say because they are not people-centric. And we are now getting closer to 2027, and the only gap standing between the people and electing who they actually want to lead them. Whether the person is good or bad, it's not of anybody, Onanuga, whoever, to tell us. Let the people just have the mechanism to say, so we have a popular leader, a leader who galvanizes through the people. And we can't achieve that until INEC is well placed. Philip, I'm coming to you. We've been flogging this thing front and back, almost in all sections here. And it's difficult because INEC is standing between popular leaders and Nigeria. Because leadership as it is, if you do not cut across the people's desire, the people's need, you are unlikely, and you do not campaign through that, you are unlikely to be able to feel their temperature when you are leading them. The way this government, particularly through Onanuga, is shutting down people and all that, where do you think we should start from INEC reform? At least that one gift, mandatory electronic transmission of our results.
You see, that is why some group of youths took their matter to the National Assembly, the proper and the legal way. They have taken a petition to the National Assembly earlier on, say, 9th of May, giving the National Assembly, 30 days to give us Electoral Act that will ensure a electoral process that is free and fair, that will lead to an election that will produce, that will give us free and fair election. First of all, the process before you get to the election proper. I think that's the way to go. Those youths they are commendable for their action. They never stop at that. Having waited for 20 days, they didn't hear it. They went back to the same National Assembly, protesting that, look, we were here on the 9th of May.
We are yet to hear anything.
We haven't heard anything from you. And then, our ultimatum will expire in June 6 or thereabout. So we are here to remind you that our petition is still with you. You haven't done anything. And we're not going to take it lightly. What we're asking in summary is that, look, entrenched in the Electoral Act, that the election result should be transmitted from the point of voting, which is the voting unit, to a central, server where the result will be collated instantly. And they gave this standard. Look, in this country, we transfer money through electronics and all of that. And no, there's no glitches. That they don't want to hear about the glitches. That the glitches that has happened, what have you done about it? Or what are you doing to rectify it? We are not hearing anything. I think that is a proper way to go. If we must move ahead, if we must produce a process that will give us the true leadership we need, not the leadership that will force themselves on us and say that, look, even though you didn't vote for me now, I am here now, I am the president now. No, we need a process that will give us a true election where the choice of the people will be represented at the helm of affairs.
Okay, I agree. That ensures independence of our vote. But now let's talk about independence of INEC as a structure itself. We kept shying away from these things, believing, oh, this National Assembly cannot do it, this president cannot do it, this National Judicial Council cannot do it. We are never going to get the one that can do it until we make them to do it. We are the one to make them do it. There's never a time they are going to give these things to us. How independent is INEC in itself? Because by the time we successfully get that law, it's to be operated by INEC. How independent is INEC itself? That a president or any person who, not necessarily Asiwaju case, of course, it has always been all presidents. Things like this are not directly to Asiwaju. He just happened to be the one in that position now. That the president who is going to contest in an election is also the person to appoint somebody in a referee. I mean, isn't that a mockery? And you now say the name of the organization is Independent National. We used to have a National Electoral Commission before, time of Mosudam and Co, during Buhari and Babangida and Co. They now added independence. But that's independence. I don't know.
Well, it's just in the middle.
MC Tagwai told us the other day here. That's
Buhari with popularly Buhari double. They call it Buhari double.
He told us that it's not independent. Yes. If it's independent, you can't call it. The president can appoint.
It cannot.
What is independent?
Yes.
So number one, we already know that it's independent. It's not dependent. It's independent.
Yes.
Now, what do we do to make sure that it's independent? That's what we should be looking at.
Yes.
That is not always chosen by the president in power. Not just only the INEC chairman, including all the commissioners.
All the recs, yes.
They are all chosen by the president.
Yes.
And it becomes that most of the people that are there are always loyalists to the party.
Party members.
They are always party members. So how can they deliver to you that you are not a party member? When the party has fed you, then you are now...
It's always tug of war to have them, declare opposition. Like we saw what happened in the Abia. It was like a war.
The woman said they came in this one. They came in
was like a war. Before
that.
it was declared.
Declared. You know, it's like they made the biggest mistake in that place. Do you understand? And all that. You know, so they are not independent. We should look for a system where these things can be independent. A lot of powers needs to be taken out of the hands of the executive. A lot of power that should be independent. For example, even the police force. Who becomes the IG of the police force should not be, you know, because right now we have one central police force. You will think, you and I will think, that the moment this president came, he will balkanize the police force.
Because he has been pushing for state police. That's why I say we are never going to get it. Because when you are there, you need to use this wrong system.
Do you understand? He's been pushing for state police force. He's been pushing for autonomy of
local government. He even created some.
Exactly.
As a governor, and as a result of the Obasanjo will tell his allocation that the
4 years.
nomenclature you have is not what we have in the
constitution.
Yes.
Do you understand? So now he is there. He is not doing any of the. In fact, he's not even winking to that side to say that he's going to touch the police or touch.
All right, Philip. Let me come to you. These guys going to National Assembly, which I think that crowd will grow. That crowd requesting that mandatory transmission of result is something something the executive should watch out, because it's going to grow. 2027 is not going to be, the Nigerians are not going to live with permanent glitches in 2027. It's not going to happen. That I can assure you. That crowd visiting National Assembly is going to grow. Now, so we don't make that move. No, we can use one stone to kill two birds. Why don't we bring in the prayers of independence of INEC into the request that is being submitted to National Assembly at this time?
Now, let me speak on the independence of the of INEC and the appointment of the chairman of INEC. If you look at the law that established INEC and the detailed appointment of the chairman and commissioner, it makes it independent, like you have said before in this place. But the operators of the law are the problem. So if we're saying that we want to make INEC independent, we already had a law that make it, because the president cannot swim to appoint president. He will appoint INEC chairman. It's a process he will go to that this person will be confirmed and all of that. But the problem, you see, the system is decayed. Everywhere, every person is compromised. So how do we get this independent? It's a tough question. But Nigerians need to wake up. They need to wake up. And the only way we can get this done is the people. The people need to stand up to the people in power to say, this is our law. We must follow it to the latter. We have very good laws in this country. You have said it before. This is the implementation.
Okay, look at this last election. It was the same. Okay,
even the INEC law is even enough for us to get
even without the electoral.
Exactly. So it is what is left now for Nigerians is for Nigerian people to stand up to those in power, to do the right thing, to hold them accountable.
Somebody that
there's nothing like this. There's nothing like you are going to make. You will make them to do it. There's nothing. We don't need any other law to make INEC independent or whatever. We need to stand up. You know, like you said, 2027 is not going to be
no.
Because what is glitches? Well, because
permanent glitches. Has the glitches been fixed? Has the glitches been fixed?
Because we have the jam. For instance, if there's glitches, then you postpone the election until you have
called the computer society.
Yes,
he called them in. Few days later, the glitches were fixed, and the children went back to write their exams.
Those are precedents. So we need to stand up.
So has Mahmoud suffered a permanent glitch? Is it a paralysis?
What happened to all the computer lists in this country? They should go and fix the glitches before the election. Even the so-called Anambra and other election, we should see a clear election in Anambra State, because it's the next election.
Next election in November, right?
You understand? Yes. So you see, it is not. We don't need any law. We need to hold the people accountable to do the right thing, to follow the law the way it is.
Because even though we think we could perfect the law, we have a good administrator would have taken a good election.
We celebrated the Electoral Act 2022 when it was because we felt we have been liberated.
We thought we were okay.
But they came and messed it up. And we didn't do anything.
And they were assuring us through, let me tell you, they were signing press releases.
Yes.
which is considered official document from INEC, that this thing will be done.
Yes.
And they got to the election ground that day. They started doing it.
And they went to court.
That of senator, Senate race, that of House of Rep race, they transmitted successfully. It got to that of presidential race. The glitches came.
Even when they went to court, they denied those
statements.
Yeah, even wasting your time when they got to court. What happened to those regulation and all of that? Today, they denied that they will never exist because the people didn't hold them accountable. Mahmoud came to the public press over and over to ensure Nigeria. Nobody hold him accountable. And the court said it's not within their knowledge. The people need to stand up to the people in power. That's the only way. It is not by saying that they can make the law tomorrow. After making the law, who will implement it? Is it not there?
So that's why I was interested in the people in INEC. There needs to be kind of sanitizing the entire institution. Okay, let's go towards Rivers. June 12th is by the corner. We discussed it yesterday, and this morning, it was in the night though. The news came up that Fubara was actually praising the president, thanking him, asking people to even go and thank him for saving Rivers from a kind of the how do I call it, a crisis that wouldn't have been able to be
state of
anarchy. So you begin to wonder, do you think by June 12th that there could be, a kind of celebration of democracy by bringing Fubara back?
Well, I think every responsive government that listens to the yearnings of the people will do what the people like, because that's actually democracy.
We don't want to go into whether Fubara is sincerely speaking from his mind or he's trying to sing the praise of the president.
That's none of our business. What we want to preserve is our democracy.
Exactly.
We don't want a solad on the foot of anywhere in Nigeria. We've already said local government should be autonomous,
yes,
and they should be governed by the people.
As a matter of fact, there is this judgment and that you shouldn't release money to local government that are not being headed by elected officials.
Exactly. But now they are doing it. By this solar, now they are doing it.
And that's where it comes the matter of whether there are good laws or no good laws.
Good laws. The law is clear.
We have good laws.
The laws are clear on these things.
The fact that the present government, federal government, went to court to, in quote, is to bring in autonomy to the local government. The same federal government is now releasing money to local government that are not marred with elected officials. Yeah. It tells you that it is not the law itself. It is the people who are in the helm of affairs. That's why the people to stand up there, hold them accountable.
One man used to give us an example that you could have two police officers, operating under the same law. You tell them to go and disperse those rioting. One will get a cock his gun, shoot, just scare people away. The other will cock his gun and shoot a human being. So it's the same law. It's more of the heart. All right. So, Philip, do you think maybe Asiwaju should, as a Democrat, we'll still see him as a Democrat, probably yield to democracy and not have a solad, heading any state on the day we celebrate our democracy day. Graciously, it's no longer May 29. We still have some days. A lot can happen. Fubara is already saying, thank Mr. President. Whatever they want him to do, I think he's probably doing that. He said he promised the people that the State House of Assembly and I are going to now work together for the good of Rivers. So is there anything preventing him? Say, come June 12th, let there be full democracy at least, as we know it.
You see, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a clear Democrat. He's a Democrat.
Yes.
He has taken steps to ensure that peace reigns in Rivers,
yes,
as pronounced by Fubara, that if not for his fatherly intervention, Rivers would have gone into anarchy, and that by his effort, reconciliation is ongoing, and they are sure that they are going to work together for the interest and the good of people of Rivers State. I think that's enough a sign that the man is a Democrat. And if I understand correctly from what Fubara is saying, it shows that there's a ray of hope, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It shows that they are coming to the end of the road where, their heart will meet, and then where their heart usually met before, they were working together before there was this crisis.
Sorry, sir. I beg to disagree with you. No. I will interrupt you. I beg to disagree with you that he has displayed a democratic style of governance.
No, that's what Fubara said.
No, that's what he said.
That's what Fubara said.
No, you reiterated.
You don't understand what I'm doing. You think I am. But anyway, I know what I'm saying. He's a Democrat. Fubara said he had demonstrated.
Fubara said he was proactive.
Yes, Fubara said he was proactive. His finally intervention has saved rivers from anarchy. Why are you quoting me? Am I Fubara? I'm not Fubara. So Tinubu is a Democrat. He's only Democrat that appointed a solar for rivers. He's a good Democrat, and he has done so. And he has
Democrat use that initiative.
He's a Democrat.
Democrat use that initiative.
If you refuse to now work together for the good of rivers, he's a good Democrat.
This Nigeria we hate.
This is where our national anthem.
Nigeria we hate. They want the Nigeria we hate. The man said, "Am I the one that said it?"
Maybe we should complete it.
You know, Fubara didn't want to bend. Because the Democrat now came in and bent him.
Betting democratically. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Let's move to business a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the problems we have in our country is the survival of small and medium scale enterprises. If you go all over the world, on paper you have it in Nigeria. On paper, you have those kind of classified, because our MPR has been botched. We have interest rates that is not useful anywhere. Banks charging an interest rate of 40% and things like that. There's no business. What business do you want to do? But there's no business that survives on that.
Talking.
But
the business that everybody is doing is talking. So the politicians, what they do is talk.
Yeah.
Am I correct? And they are getting dividends for talking. Because even this
minister...
But the minister was just...
They rectify what they have.
Campaign. But the minister was just saying that the federal government has taken steps that prevented industries from closing.
What is it?
Which industries?
Industry has stopped moving out of Nigeria.
So
last year we know a lot of industry move out of
Nigeria. Not even last year, this year. What are his indices, Minister Eno?
John Eno or something.
Eno, yeah.
Eno, yes.
He was in youth and sport. He was in sports. And he was the one that mishandled.
They say his performance was very abysmal.
Abysmal. Coming to boast that we will bring 10 gold, 15 gold, and we didn't bring gold.
Does Asiwaju enjoy these ministers?
Yes. Because that's the only...
Getting engaged in psychophancy.
Because that's the only way they can stay on. If you're a minister, if there's something good, you will say. So if there's not something good, they want to preserve their own ministry as well and stay on. Nobody resigns in Nigeria. The only person that we have seen that is resigned is Baba Ahmed. From this government, and maybe
no, but I'm very sincere. I said I was doing nothing.
Exactly.
I couldn't see the president almost 2 years or
exactly. He said they gave me a table and a chair, nothing to do. Then what's his name? Ajuji, and they couldn't. Ajuji came and was talking. He was the spokesman for the president. After a while, they told him that you are still a small boy. Go and learn work. That's the truth. Now this minister now has come and said that there are proactive steps that have been taken. He has not told us that power has increased, has improved. It has improved.
Even why they increased the price per unit.
The price per unit
of power.
In fact, I saw.
And it's the power they said they will give to us. If they don't give it to us, we should vote them out.
We should vote them out. We are giving them our money. The power we are yet to give.
Now I saw on a NEC. NEC has removed a lot of people that are on band A because the discourse couldn't fulfill their own part of giving light for 18 hours by the hour. Yes. So they've downgraded them. Not only they downgrade them, they say they should pay money back to those people. A lot of the discourse. Do you understand? That's a NEC. That's a government body saying that this power has been shortchanged. They have been shortchanged. Now, what yardstick is John Eno using to say that this is happening and this is not happening? You just said it just now. Loan, what's the percentage of going to take loan? Even these shark loans that people take. You can't use it to do business.
You can't.
You get 1 million naira, they tell you to pay 20% or 30% in a month. How can you do that? How many startup business? What can you do? So what is he talking about? He should come let us deliberate.
Annual rate is 40%.
It's 40%. Who goes to the bank? And
they say they have development banks. When you try to access loan, then
exactly.
it's not there. If there's any little one that is there, it's allocated politically.
And most of them go through this commercial bank to allocate the loan to you and get their 40%. So what's the minister telling us that say that the president, is he in roads? Do we have better roads?
Because now that we have so much money coming from subsidy, so much loans, we should have enough to activate our small and medium, enterprise sectors. Because this is what holds a large chunk that's what reduces the large chunk of unemployment in any economy. How many can government employ? Even the multinationals, how many? The big offices, how many can they take? The people there are actually changing their age so they don't retire. The other day, Showore was even saying that the IG we have is unofficial because his age is, and that is happening in many places. And over in Imo State, we had cases, I don't know, I think I'm going to investigate that case further, where judges were accused of changing their age in order to. So it means that is why you see unemployment. Because one thing is that there are people say there are born thieves, but there are people who are also stealing because of lack. Unemployment is also fueling the vices we have in our nation. And our government, I don't know what they have done to reduce unemployment. Giving money to people in your ward or your polling unit agents through your party machinery is not reducing unemployment.
So you see, you are talking about how have they reduced, unemployment and how have
prevented industries from leaving Nigeria.
This Asiwaju government is a long-term government. Maybe you are not seeing it. Those loans they are collecting and the money they are accruing from the subsidy, it's being put in place
for long term.
You may not see it now.
It's like inner beauty.
But they are working.
It's like inner beauty.
It's inner beauty. So I'm surprised they are saying that.
I will call a mob for you just now.
They are for long-term benefits.
Yes, and they are working so hard.
How many people are we going to lose?
John Enos saying that they have stopped industry from moving out of Nigeria. That
by decree.
That they stabilize electricity and the roads are ongoing. You travel from here to Lokoja, you see how the road is. You move from one lane to the other lane and to the other lane, and that is fantastic. The work is ongoing. You may not see it. You see, they are working night and day.
Don't listen to this one. Look, the policies of government that they do, you see, we are not anti-government.
Certainly.
People must understand
But we are people-centric.
We are people-centric. We are actually like the eyes and the leg and the hand of government. That if they hear us, they will be able to bring up something. We have, for example, a computer village in Abuja. The computer village we have in Abuja, there are a lot of, even if it's repairs, because I saw on their website, they said all technical colleges that they are going to be giving 45,000 naira for people that decide to attend technical colleges. Yeah. Now, as aid or something, Now, in building technical colleges, most of the things that we do are fabrication of things like this microphone. We can mold this cup in Nigeria. We have a lot of ceramics here. Now, these are places you train people. Now, phone, we can't deny that we have, everybody in Nigeria now has a phone. And now, most of our phones come from abroad. All the phones we have right now, all of them are nothing new about the technology. The team may just be one shape or the other. Nothing new. That means we can fabricate phones in Nigeria.
By reverse engineering, get this and check the process.
And check the process and fabricate. Yeah. Do you understand? Now look at our, what's it called?
Okay, that's your fabrication brings me to what I wanted to. I want you, Philip, to put it, because now they are talking about Nigerian first policy. I think we discussed it slightly yesterday. Oh, it was the other day. Nigerian first policy, and they are now glamorizing it. Nigerian first policy will do this to the economy, will do this. Is it that Asiwaju didn't know what Nigerian first policy could do to Nigerian economy, and when he spent billions of naira, or actually billions of dollars, buying what is it called? Buying vehicles for the National Assembly in 2023, because that was the best time to save the dollar we didn't have by trying to ensure that all locally made vehicles have not. We have a nothing. We have a few of them. We have this one that's Meccano. What's the name of this Meccano's? We have a few of them.
KV or KN.
We have a few of them, yes. A few of them made locally that they are fully, what they have production capacity or their supply capacity was fully utilized before you could, look at international scene. Is it just realizing that this can help us save dollar, or they are just singing Nigeria first policy to, for 2027 campaign?
When we discussed this matter the other time, this is exactly what you said. You said, what is new about, Nigeria first policy? Why policy? I think I was the one that said it, that when you remove subsidy,
I said it.
It's just a statement.
It was a statement.
On the podium, as you will be sworn.
There was no policy that day.
There was no policy. So Nigeria first policy is what will save Nigerian money and jobs, which is more important than removing subsidy. You never said anything. Now you are going to go through policy.
To National Assembly.
You have to send a bill to the National Assembly. It has to pass through the House of Rep and the Senate, and then it finally comes to you for assent before it becomes operational. So take us to the question you asked. Is it just waking up to know that Nigerian policy first would have saved us money?
Each time you talk, those defense mechanisms, which shouldn't be happening. I don't think government should actually be defending themselves. It's unnecessary. Your work should defend you.
Exactly.
Having these boys scattered all over internet defending you is of no value. Your work should defend you. Go to what's happening in Abia State. You can say state is not federal, but they have semblance. Yes, they have differences and scope, no doubt.
A state can as well be
I know they have semblance. They have
no,
semblance.
they can well be
They have disparity. But let me tell you, but state, you see, during Abia State celebration of their 2 years in office, they titled the sustain the transformation and transformation of Abia State and how to sustain it. He said most of their actions since were by executive authorities. Now, within these 2 years, they want to domesticate them through policies.
And now law becomes law.
Yeah, it becomes
so that
law.
no matter who
comes in. Asiwaju came in, he removed subsidy by mouth. He could have started buying local vehicles by mouth immediately. Now, he can issues of policy making and order. People will see the sincerity. Now, he's talking about the policy. Nigerians are waiting to see what can be done by this local content. It's not just by local content didn't start today. We talked about it earlier.
There's an agency. There's a local government development something.
ICDM in
Bayelsa. And this was the reason that it was informed.
Yes.
So that now let me talk first of all on all those policies you talk about.
Yeah.
Now, when Asiwaju came in, if you look at his game very well, he tries to make the National Assembly okay. Just look at the way he's in tandem with the National Assembly. They are not at divergent.
It's the wish of any executive.
That's fine.
It's of the National Assembly to not say we are standing for the people.
But not to be trying to put the
No, I won't tell him. Any executive without defending Asiwaju, any executive would want to work. In a smooth path with the National Assembly.
So that policies can go through.
Yeah, so it is of the National Assembly to say, yes, we are friends, but Ogbeni, this one cannot go through. Yeah.
So that's number one. Then number two, the subsidy that he's removed, we are aware, or he said it, that 70% of the revenue goes to the state.
Yes.
So I first queried it. I said, why does the governors go to visit Tinubu in December? I mean, they should be the one visited by their own state. Now, not only do they go to visit him now, they have now started moving one after the other to, to APC. It's as a result of the fact that he has won the... Have you ever seen a governor stand up to criticize Tinubu? No. If there's any, let me know. That has stood up and criticized his policies, his ways. A governor can't do that. Rotimi Amechi told us that himself and Lamido, They used to criticize
And I think it was now that
they would have been criticizing him.
All right, but unfortunately, it's not now. We have a governor that just got his seat confirmed once again. Quite his Okpebholo. For the most part, people are saying he's almost becoming a Tinubu's information minister, and he's always there ahead of anybody to speak for Asiwaju. And others are joining them, even from their own party. They say that the president is doing excellent work. Now, we talked about INEC. I want us to look at once again these issues that our people, they try to shy away from responsibilities when it comes to our children. There was a collapse of classroom in Taraba where children were writing their Wike. Though they say that the rain was a little bit torrential and all that, and casualty and all that. What effort do we place in building and constructing public spaces? Is there no way we can regulate what? Because we're all moving, politics and all that. We don't pay attention to where our children are studying. Is there no way we can ensure that before these kids, they do not have prior experience in life before. These are just children. Is there no way we can create better protection for certify where these people should sit their exams? A lot of stories has been happening. Wike, the other day they were writing whatever with their lantern in the night, jam, glitches, another one, collapse of building structures, and a lot of casualties. A lot of people got injured, Philip.
In as much as our government is not doing enough in terms of protection of our children and providing enough for our educational system, you can't run away from the fact that disaster, natural disasters are about to happen. Even in America, tornadoes can cause a lot of havoc to the entire city.
Yeah.
What happened in Taraba, for what I read, is a natural disaster. They said the wind was torrential. It was, extraordinary. Yes, we should be able to.
Okay, let me come this way. You just mentioned America. I didn't want to go there. I've lived there. I've lived in many other countries. When something like this want to happen, which I know you lived.
Yes.
We're in America almost at the same time.
Yes.
They will send a signal that there'll be no school today.
Yes.
I'm talking about public gathering. There'll be no school today.
Yes.
Something like this will happen so time.
Yes.
These are all infrastructures of protection. Don't go out because there's a thunderstorm going to happen.
Or there'll be tornadoes.
There'll be tornado.
Or whatever.
Or there'll be even sometimes they even initiate evacuation process. It's only those who refuse to be evacuated that this thing usually happens. So you can continue.
So what I'm saying, that is why I said even though, because this country will have not advanced to that level. Because, for instance, even our NEMA cannot even predict that kind of wind. It's only when you have this advanced technology to predict that, look, at so time, at this area of this country or this state, this will be the situation. Then the government can have preparation for it. This is all this part of the failures of government in our society. And that's the ease of the society we are speaking against. From year to year, they budget billions of naira for this thing, and we don't see them on ground. But what I am saying, in fact, is that, look, this thing is a sad event. It shouldn't have happened, but it has happened. But it happened because it's a natural disaster. But if government were responsible enough, they should have proactive.
After see the Asiwaju that we were blaming, we are now realizing that he was proactive in Rivers State.
Yes, after all,
I don't want to answer both of you on that matter. Let me ask you a question.
Let me finish.
Because I would tell the people to bring him up here for 2 days.
It's not our making. Fubara that said the man was proactive. But in this case of Taraba, because the government has failed to do the right thing, the life of these children were exposed to danger. But thank God there were no life lost. It's just the casualty of property.
Fracas.
And again, even though, because Taraba and all those areas, they are prone to wind. So their buildings should pass through engineering texts that can stand that kind of wind when it comes. Do we have such thing in place? We don't know the answers. So these are some of the things, especially school buildings and hospitals. Because I think we have read somewhere at some point where fire got a hospital and all of that. You understand? So the government should do more in their responsibility.
All right,
in FCT, we heard that the pupils, the secondary school or primary school pupils have been at home for the past 4 months. What has government done? And I also heard that the health workers have joined them in the FCT, where infrastructure's development is being celebrated. Let them look at the basics. Our kids
Pay attention to our children.
Our children. Do you understand? That's what I will use to answer that.
They are leaders of tomorrow. If the leaders of today will agree to quit, if they don't quit, they will still die.
Almost every senator, House of Rep member have their kids schooling abroad. But the one that are schooling here, they should not forget that they also went to public school.
They school here, they did school abroad. I'm surprised.
Even public schools.
Yes.
Tell us, any one of us in this table that didn't go to public school.
I didn't go to private school. I went to all my school.
We all went to public school. And we are where we are.
At that time, there were no. How many private schools do you
Private schools were meant for.
They were not even there.
They were meant for people who cannot go to school now.
All right. Attention should be paid to our kids and to our nation. If we get it wrong now, these are the kids that will probably get it right in the future. Thank you for being on Matters Arising today. Until next week.